this lesson, we are going to work on multiplying fractions and mixed numbers. So it starts out looking like quite a bit, but it's not so bad. To multiply fractions, you multiply the numerators to find the numerator of the product, and then you multiply the denominators to find the denominator of the product. And then you simplify if necessary. So basically, you are just multiplying the numerators and multiplying the denominators straight across to find your product, and then you simplify. So here's a quick example. If we have 2/3 times 1/2, we take 2 times 1, both numerators, multiply the numerators, and then the denominators, 3 and 2, multiply them straight across. You end up with 2/6. Well, 2/6, both 2 and 6 are divisible by 2, and so if we simplify, dividing both of them by 2, we get 1/3. So here are some simple numerator and denominator only fractions that we can multiply in the same fashion. If I'm multiplying 1/4 times 4/5, I multiply the numerators, then I multiply the denominators straight across, and then I simplify if necessary. So if I see 1 times 4, I simply multiply straight across. I know 1 times 4 is 4, and 4 times 5 is 20. Now looking at 4/20ths, both of those numbers are divisible by 4. I know this because 4 is divisible by 4 and 20 is divisible by 4. So if I want to simplify this all the way, I can simply divide both the numerator and the denominator by 4 to get 1/5. So 1/4 times 4/5 is 1/5. In example B, we have 15 times 2/3. Now 15 isn't necessarily a numerator and a denominator, but when we're working with whole numbers, all you have to do to turn a whole number into a fraction is put that number over 1, because fractions and division problems are the exact same thing. 15 over 1 is a numerator and denominator fraction. It also means 15 divided by 1, which holds the value of 15. So we can turn 15 into a fraction by just saying 15 over 1. Nothing has changed, the value has remained the same, but now we can work with it as just multiplying fractions like we're comfortable. So one thing that we can do that we didn't do up here, because it's not 100% necessary, but it may make our lives much easier if we're working with larger numbers. We can do what is called cross-canceling to simplify our multiplication problem before multiplying it. Now you can do it if you're comfortable, and if you're not, we'll work on it later. But if I look at 15 and 3, they are across from each other in this kitty corner kind of pattern. 15 and 3 share a factor, a common factor of 3. And so before I multiply straight across, I can actually simplify those down to make them easier numbers to multiply with. So 3 goes into itself 1 time. 3 goes into 15 5 times. So I can just cross those out and simplify them down because they share that greatest common factor of 3. That's why I chose to put 3 into both of them. So now it's like 5 times 2. So 5 times 2 is 10. And 1 times 1 is 1. So I've multiplied my numerator straight across. I've multiplied my denominator straight across to get 10 over 1. And 10 over 1, if I simplify, remember this is 10 over 1. It's the same as 10 divided by 1. And I know 10 divided by 1 is simply 10. Anything over 1 is itself. There you go. It does get a little bit more complicated when we're talking about multiplying mixed numbers. Now to multiply a mixed number, we need to change it into an improper fraction first, because to multiply, we need to have just numerators and denominators. So how do you change a mixed number into an improper fraction? Well, there are 3 simple steps. First, you multiply the denominator by the whole number. So if I'm working with 2 and 1/3, I multiply the denominator by the whole number first. 2 times 3 is 6, and I hold that number. Then I add the numerator to that product. So if I had 2 times 3, or excuse me, 3 times 2, the answer is 6. I can take this numerator 1 and add it to 6 to get 7. And then I put that number over the original denominator. The original denominator is 3, so I've taken my 7 and I put it over 3. 2 1/3 is equivalent to 7/3. Let's try it with 4 2/9. First step is to multiply the denominator by the whole number. 9 times 4 is 36, plus 2 is 38, and I take that product and sum and I put it over that denominator to get 38/9. So if I'm multiplying with a mixed number, I have to change it into an improper fraction first. So if I have the problem 1/3 times 4 1/2, I have to change all mixed numbers to improper fractions. So this 1/3 stays the same, and 4 1/2 needs to change. 2 times 4 is 8, plus 1 is 9. 4 1/2 changes to 9/2. I moved this problem over here to show you that I can cross cancel to simplify it a little bit, because as I look at the corners, I can see that 3 and 9 share a common factor of 3. So 3 goes into 3 once, 3 goes into 9 3 times, so I cross those out and simplify them to make multiplying across a little bit easier. 1 times 3 is 3, and 1 times 2 is 2. So my solution for 1/3 times 4 1/2, or 1/3 times 9/2, is 3/2. Now the directions say to simplify your answer. 3/2 is simplified. You can't divide the numerator and the denominator down to be any smaller, so it's already simplified. 3/2 would be an acceptable answer unless you're asked to have your answer in a mixed number form. So what you also should know is that this can be read as 3/2, but it can also be read as 3 divided by 2. Remember that fractions and division are the same thing. You're going to hear me say it over and over and over again. So, if I was asked to turn this back into a mixed number, I would consider the 3 divided by 2 vocabulary, and I would just divide. 2 goes into 3 once. I subtract that 2 away, and there's 1 left over. So it's 1 1/2. 3/2 is equivalent to the mixed number 1 1/2. So we're going to just try a couple of examples together. In this example, we have 3 3/5 times 1 1/12. The first step is to turn both mixed numbers into improper fractions, and I'm going to follow those steps to help you out. In order to turn 3 3/5 into an improper fraction, we need to multiply the denominator by the whole number. 5 times 3 is 15, plus 3 is 18. So that's going to be 18 over 5. I have to do the same thing to 1 1/12. 12 times 1 is 12, plus 1 is 13/12. And now before I go any further, 18, 13, 5, and 12 are kind of uncomfortable numbers to work with if I'm thinking about multiplying straight across. It's not something I can just click with right away. So I do want to look to see if I can cross cancel. Now if you're not comfortable, you can just simplify your answer later, but this might help you out if you're not so comfortable with simplifying larger improper fractions or larger fractions. So I look at my corners here. Do 5 and 13 share a common factor? Well, no, they don't, so I have to leave them alone. But 12 and 18, first of all, they're both even, but I don't think 2 is large enough of a number. I know that 3 both goes into both 12 and 18, but 2 also does, so that means that 6 must go into both, and that's going to be your greatest common factor. So 6 goes into 12 twice, and 6 also goes into 18 3 times. Now I've changed 18 to 3 and 12 to 2. It's going to be so much easier to work with. So 3 times 13 is going to come out to be 39. And then 5 times 2, because I multiply my numerators first, then I multiply my denominators. 5 times 2 is 10. 39/10 is already simplified, but 39/10 can also be read as 39 divided by 10. So if I wanted to turn this back into a mixed number, I would just say 39 divided by 10. Well, I know 10 goes into 39 3 times. That's going to be 30 with 9 left over. So that's going to be 9/10. So as a mixed number, 39/10 is the same thing as 3 and 9/10. For our final example, we have 5 1/7 times 2 3/4. So we're going to change our mixed numbers into improper fractions first. 7 times 5 is 35, plus 1 is 36/7. 4 times 2 is 8, plus 3 is 11/4. Again, 36, not the most fun to work with when we're multiplying, but we're going to just look to see if I can cross cancel. 7 and 11 do not share a common factor, but 4 and 36 sure do. 4 shares a common factor of 36 of 4. So, 4 goes into itself 1 time, and 4 goes into 36 9 times. Now, I'm a little bit more comfortable multiplying 9 times 11 than I am 36 times 11. So 9 times 11 is going to come out to be 99. And then 7 times 1 is 7. I don't think I can simplify that any further. So I'm just going to leave it unless I was asked to make it a mixed number. So again, you can say this is 99/7 or 99 divided by 7. And when I divide 99 by 7 to get my mixed number, 7 goes into 9 once. Subtract that 7, there are 2 left over. I bring down that 9. 7 goes into 29. 4 times, that's 28 with 1 left over. So my mixed number solution is 14 and 1/7. I like to work clockwise to help me remember that. So my answer, 14 and 1/7. This answer would be acceptable. It is simplified, and 14 and 1/7 would be acceptable as well.